So whenever you hear about maintenance, or whenever we always talk about maintenance, we try to discuss it, we mention it, we've mentioned it since the beginning of our sessions, etc. So, okay, what does that mean for us? Okay, what does this mean? What will this help us with? How would maintenance, okay, or maintenance management, or machine management, or operations management for that matter, help us improve our breeding operations? What is this going to help me with? Okay, we've been discussing this a lot. So I took the liberty of checking what improved or increased genetic gain means. And by definition, okay, we have the on the baseline, this is from a practical guide to genetic gain, okay, that was, I believe, published by EiB-IITA. Okay, I was looking at this chart and looking at this diagram, and through the level of importance, it starts from, that doesn't mean that this is not important. No, actually, this is the baseline where you have to start, and it increases in importance as we progress through the different aspects or procedures. So we can see that we have clear objectives, meticulous data management, effective operations, effective genotyping, selection based on basic linear uncertainty procedures, and then we have the breeding methods research and genomic selections and high throughput phenotyping. So what clicks to mind and what is really my interest here for this session is the effective operations. So how can this help me? Can I achieve anything without having effective operations? Now, will I be able, for example, without having farm or operations management, will I ever have effective operations? I don't think so. Without centralization of operations, will I ever achieve effective operations? No, we cannot. And this is why we've been going through that every single day, and every time we go on to different issues of centralization. And sometimes you get frustrated from us because this is not a simple issue. It takes time, and we understand that. However, we have to continue on insinuating this. Centralized operations is of the essence. Proper skill set. Can I achieve this without having a proper skill set? I don't think so. Adequate structure. Will this be possible without an adequate structure for us? Without a good organogram, without a good succession of or delegation of tasks, or for that matter, specialization of tasks across the operational structure, will we be able to achieve that? I don't think so. Collaboration between breeders and operators. Will we be able to achieve effective operations if we do not understand the requirements of breeders? Will we be able to actually go to the field, okay, and do the job that we have to do and perform the job that we have to perform for the breeders at the end, to work on collecting their phenotypic data, collect the yield data, all the requirements that they need for them to achieve genetic gain? Will this be possible without our collaboration? No, it will never be. And that's why we're always facing this issue, and we're always discussing, and you've mentioned this many times, that without this collaboration, and sometimes these gaps happen and they cause a lot of problems and a lot of missing data in the field. So going back to our subject, can this effective operations be achieved without maintenance and machine management? No. This is a detrimental component for us to improve our operations and for us to be able to sustain our operations. And I will stress again the word sustain and sustainability of our operations for us to be able to achieve increased levels of genetic gain. So let's start taking this step by step. What are our objectives? What do we need? What are we looking for? One of the main things that we are looking for is to maintain long life of the equipment. It's not just to preserve it. If it is not working, okay, I want to preserve it while it is stored. No, actually, it has to be in good functional conditions. If it's not in a good functional condition, that means it is not maintained. I need to increase the performance efficiency of not only the equipment, I need to increase the performance efficiency of the operators. I need to increase the performance efficiency of the breeders, because without our contribution to the breeding trials, their efficiency is going to also be jeopardized. So for us for them to succeed, we have to succeed as well. We have to always collaborate and look at this holistically. When we say us and them, I'm talking about operators and breeders. I don't want to discriminate, okay? Don't title me or report me right now. But, okay, we have to stress these issues because they are existent. Create healthy and safe working environment. Thank you for what you did here in the lecture hall today, okay? And we've seen that in the field. Okay, yesterday we were all overheating. We were basically drinking so much water, okay, trying to compensate. And thanks for EiB-IITA team for providing all the hats, okay. However, and we did mention through HSE that if we look at the hierarchy of things, okay, safety is one of the essential things for any individual to be able to function. First, I have the physical needs. Then I need to be safe. I need to feel safe. If I don't feel safe, I will not perform efficiently, nor will I provide any form of productivity. We need to organize machine use. And here we have to start with planning. We have to organize our fields. We have to organize our tasks. We have to schedule what we need to do. Okay. And we need to provide good grounds for sustainable machine management. So, going back to our objectives and our requirements, okay, we have those essential needs, okay, that we need to account for us to be able to have efficient operations and machine use. So, what do we need? Like we just mentioned, we definitely need centralized farm operations, okay? We have to start from somewhere. So let's start by centralizing everything. Let's start by collaborating together, okay, and agreeing on what is needed between scientists and the farm management, okay. So we have to always align on what should be done in the field. As from an operational perspective, I can go to the field and manage it the way I want. There are many practices, none of them are wrong, but there are many. It is up to the scientist to provide me with the information or the directions of what is needed for this trial or what is needed for this experiment. This has to be agreed upon. This has to be documented before we actually go to the field or before we actually plan our workflow, okay, or our work program or the work order and go to the field. This is where we need to start with the pre-planning. We have to allocate the lands and distribution. And here, this is one other thing that since we discussed plotmanship yesterday, okay, it was brought to our attention that there was one field that has been utilized by the same breeding program for 8 years in a row. That's unbelievable. This is agriculture basics, okay? We have to provide certain rotations. Okay, there are conditions, for example, for rice. That is a different special case or special condition. But however, for different breeding programs, we need to induce better practices in the field. We need to utilize these better practices and put this information, this knowledge, and we all know this, we have to actually put it into actual plans and use. Needs assessment. What do I need to perform my tasks? The operational needs and the equipment use, okay, before we head on to the field. And afterwards, we have to allocate our resources, pool everything together, assign the tasks, and see where we can assign equipment, where we can assign labor, where we can assign supervision, so on and so forth. So how can we manage all of this? What should we do? What do you think? What should we do? How will we be able to manage all of what I said right now? Please, then.
Maybe by centralizing the system and also having a management software that can go through that.
Okay, that's the way to do it. So centralization. Maintenance management system or farm management system, right? Okay. Any other ideas?
There is a need for serious planning on what needs to be done between the scientists and the operation managers.
Scientists and operation managers. So basically, what we're saying is the alignment that we need to do, right? Anybody else? Please say it out loud, please.
Yeah, control of the whole system.
I'm putting this in block letters. We haven't mentioned this yet, but there should be control. I will give you even a better word. Okay, some will hate me for it, but I have to say it because from what I see, this is not even implemented anywhere. Okay, and we let things go by. And I'm going to put it also in block letters, which is accountability.
Yeah, capacity building, I think that has to be central. We may need to retrain some of the individuals involved in operations. Also, just providing incentives for the technical scientists, anyways.
Okay. Anybody else? Those are all correct. Yes, please, Teresa. The
proper monitoring. Yeah, like when you give out land and you just have to monitor properly to be sure that, okay, this year this was here, and no, that may go along with the planning.
The history.
Yeah, the history.
Is that okay? History. Record keeping.
Yeah, and I think quality checks, quality assurance.
Beautiful. That goes back to Q.
Yeah, quality assurance.
S. Okay. Quality assurance, quality system.
Part of audit.
It is part of audit, definitely. We need to have at least some self-audit. Okay, beautiful, great. So let's see what we have and what you have discussed. So for me to be able to have good machine management, first of all, I need to start with the data. I will never be able to conduct anything without the data. And I am facing a lot of issues and a lot of problems personally. Your farm managers are facing this problem. Your operations manager are facing the same problem, is that we do not have the right data. I still do not have the right, or let's say a complete machine inventory. And we have asked, okay, to collect this. You have compiled the list, but the list is incomplete. Why is it incomplete? We have to have the date of purchase. We have to have, okay, the records of use. Okay, this data is important. If I don't have the records of use, how will I know if this machine has outlived its useful life or not? If I don't know the date of purchase or the model of the equipment, how will I know that this equipment is actually out of date or not? Or if it has outlived its useful life or not? Those parameters are very important for me. How will I understand, okay, the history of this machine, okay, or the history of the field if I don't have records of this? If I don't have record of what has been done, what the operators have performed, what chemical has been used, what farm practices have been done, how the land was prepared before the trial. Even the researchers are required to know this. And we had this discussion, actually, we had this discussion with Africa Rice in Senegal, for example. Okay, they are sharing seeds with different centers. When you share any seed or any genotype, okay, the first thing they ask you is not about the health, okay, or the health and safety certificate. They will ask you, okay, tell us your parameters. You're going to share this variety with me. Under what conditions was this planted? They want to evaluate whether they will actually take this seed or take this variety and plant it or test it or not. Am I correct or am I wrong? Okay, especially the breeders here, please share with me. Okay, so all of these parameters need to be taken. The soil analysis that we mentioned the first day, soil analysis is not done, but we meant, okay, it's not frequently done in big, large spaces. If you have a trial, you have to have soil analysis for you to be able to understand your crop requirement. The irrigation requirement, if we don't have, for example, the soil moisture probes, how will I understand, okay, if my irrigation is being efficient or if my plants are receiving the required amount of water for it to succeed or not? So going back to this, we mentioned the machine inventory. It has to be detailed. It has to be there. All the documentation needs to be there. The manual, the maintenance manual, the spare parts, they have to be there. And then I go on to the needs assessment. So I sat down with the breeders. I discussed with them what their requirement is. And we talked with each other. We came up with a plan that we have to plant this amount of acres or hectares, okay, of so and so crops. Great, beautiful. So what equipment do I need? What is my requirement? What do I need for me as an individual to be able to perform, or for my staff or employees to be able to work and do their job? I have to provide this, but I cannot provide that without having my first step, which is the machine inventory. So I have to go step by step. Then I move on to maintenance and repair management. Now that I know what I need, I know what I should use, I have an idea of what schedule I have for my equipment or for my use in the field, I can go on and start planning my maintenance and repairs. And I mention maintenance and repairs because there's a difference there. We'll get to that in a minute. This will also help me work out my acquisition plan. Okay, and in many stations you have old equipment. Some of them are working, some of them are not. I'm not saying you shouldn't maintain. No, you should. You should maintain, you should repair. However, we need to have a good acquisition plan. Some things need to be phased out, some things new, okay, need to be added. So we have to have a good and solid plan, a long-term one and a short-term plan for that. And then obviously, and last but not least, the capacity and training, the training and capacity building, okay? This is important. Without the know-how, without the proper skill set, without competency training, especially for the operators, this will never succeed and we will never be able to perform our jobs correctly. Great. So moving on from that, I started by assigning the fields, and this is the job for the farm managers. I'm not saying that the farm manager is or he or she are the Royal Highnesses, okay, and what they assign goes. Okay, so you get this plot, take it or leave it. No, this is a matter of an agreement between the breeders, the scientists, and the farm management. Allocation of lands should be something that is done on yearly basis and before the actual year starts. This is a pre-planning thing, okay? So the farm manager, it's actually his job to go and ask the breeders on yearly basis, send them an email, come, let's say October. You need to provide me with what you need for the next year before I start planning for the next year. Planning takes time. It is not something that is done in one day, okay? So we have to ask them to provide what they need, the areas that they need, and then we start discussing the allocations and agreeing upon the different sites or the different locations. And we have to provide the information on the history as well to the breeders so that they can understand the parameters under which they are going to utilize their trials. Establish timelines and crop calendars. This is between the breeders and farm management. And this is important for me to do what? To do the scheduling of maintenance and operations. Yes, please, Lenny. Mike.
What? I just wanted to pose a question. Hello. I just wanted to pose a question or to be the devil's advocate. What happens, maybe Amia, yourself, Alex, and the farm manager? What happens when we are going through this rigorous activity, come the time of planning, the very breeder who is resistant using the same field for 8 years doesn't come for the planning meeting? How do you take it up from there?
Then the farm manager has to act like His Royal Highness. Okay, so we have to come to common grounds and to an agreement. Yes, Gabriel, please.
I think sharing my experience from Zambia, there are some breeders actually that usually don't want to let go of their fields. But what we've discussed is since they carry out the research, the trials during the rain season, just to enhance crop rotation, during the off season, we put in crops that are not in the same family. For example, if the trials are about legumes like soybeans, which we harvest somewhere around May, meaning that starting from June up to late September to early October, the field will be free. We put in a cereal crop just to allow that rotation. And then later in the season, they'll continue with their regular trials.
This goes back to the plotmanship, which Alec was mentioning yesterday. Okay, so this goes back to how you manage your field. And yes, this is sustainable practice. So why not?
But the other thing is that, oh, sorry, Goga. I'm old, so let me finish mine. I think the other thing is why we are facing those issues is because like the funding was according to the programs, right? And the breeders controlled the budgets, so they can refuse maybe to go along with what Wilson is doing. But now we are moving to a model where everything is now put funding. Yeah, so it's not like they have a choice. If they don't want to cooperate, we'll move on with the rest of the programs, right? So, right. And then also having a centralized electronic platform where people can actually request for land, I think will make it easier. Like we should be able to provide all the information that you're asking for there, like the history of the land and everything should be on a some electronic format of some sort where they can actually see everything. So it even cuts down the amount of time that we are spending discussing. Yeah. So.
Yeah, definitely. Thanks.
I only want to take a man back from to remind us of what Wilson said yesterday. There are some programs that would insist on reusing the same plot because of the type of experiment they are running, maybe for 1 or 2 seasons. And even when he introduced penalty for it. Many of them are say willing to pay. See, using the same land for more than 1 or 2 seasons. That's one of the challenges we have right now.
Okay, thanks for sharing. Oh, Wilson, please.
I think for will I say annual or cropping, it's very easy to have a forum where you allocate the feeds. But in the case when the request will be coming throughout the year, especially when you have irrigation facility, is somehow difficult to actually pinpoint, okay, block A to block A is for yam, mean this season, block B is for maize, block C is for maybe soya beans. So,
but this is again why we have to sit down and plan, and this is why we have to do that earlier, okay, before the end of the year, because you will have to provide this information, okay, to them. They have to provide you what they need, but you will tell them, well, yes, maybe block A can be used for this, but no, we have so and so. If your requirement, let's say, is for drip irrigation, and drip irrigation is not sufficient in block A, so you will tell them, no, we have optimal parameters for drip irrigation in plot B or C or in that block, etc. So you will have to provide this information, because they will not know that. They will go on using the same piece of land because, yeah, okay, I planted last year on this land, things went fine. Okay, so I want to use it for a second year. Okay, this has to change. And again, things have to be centralized, and using a system or a farm management system or even an automated system where we can provide these requests is an easier way. So after we establish the timelines and the crop calendars, we allocate the resources between the operations or farm manager, we define the labor and the machine requirements. We move on to schedule the maintenance tasks based on the operational times. Scheduling is important in maintenance. How we schedule this maintenance is important. We have different types of maintenance, and most of those requirements require, okay, a certain scheduling based on different parameters, and we'll go on to discuss those. For example, let's say 5,000 kilometers, basically you all drive cars, I hope. Okay, so after 5,000 kilometers, basically you have to go and change the oil. After 10,000 kilometers, you have to change the oil, and then you have to change the filters. After 20,000 kilometers or 30,000 kilometers, they will tell you, yeah, we'll start actually take the next step, where we change not only the oil and filter, but we have to change your spark plugs. Okay, so these schedules need to be undertaken. However, for our equipment, for example, what is my low time? What is my high time for operations? This is also something that I need to schedule for my operations. So the times that I am over busy, I cannot go and assign tasks for corrective maintenance, okay? Because I am busy operating in the field. We are limited sometimes with resources, and we have to allocate them in the smart way. Schedule operations based on labor, machine use, and condition. Then we sort based on priorities. What is easiest for me? What is the top priority? I have to sort those based on my priorities. And I went the other way around. So I have to analyze the operational intervals, sort based on priority, schedule the operations, and then I schedule the maintenance. And then I move into communicating with the operations team. They need to be aware what my plan is, okay? They have to be aware of what our schedule is. Sometimes things can be autonomous, okay? Pre-planning and communication will help with that, okay? Provide accountability for our work. We define our performance measures. What says that I'm doing the correct job? If well, I can go to the field. Yes, I'm done. Thank you so much. I plowed. Okay, and you go to the field and you stand there and you come back and say, yeah, let's do it again. That means that we have to define properly our performance measures, okay, to make sure that the work is done with a good quality, okay, and then we have to establish afterwards the work orders to the staff for us to perform our tasks. All right. So why should we plan again? We plan to provide quality, productivity, effectiveness, and efficiency. Planning pushes hard for productivity. However, it is dangerous to push productivity if there is no quality focus inside there, okay? So if I don't work on the performance measures and define the performance measures to make sure that the KPIs are there, that the success, actually the measures of success are there for every worker to understand that this has to be done this way and that end result should be your outcome, we will never get to that point. If one is not effective, it does not matter how efficient one is. I can finish, let's say, again, I gave the example of spraying. Okay, I will go and spray the field. Yes, boss, I did it in half an hour. Everything is okay. Don't worry about it. Give me another field. I'll go. Okay, so, but eventually, he did not calibrate. He did not provide the correct application rate for the field, which means basically he did nothing. So he went to the field, okay, sprayed around, did it in no time, came so happy that he's so efficient. And at the same time, he did everything completely wrong, basically, eventually doing nothing, and you have to do the job again. Or it might jeopardize, you know, the requirement of my research. This is not a production crop again. This is research. So we just can't go to the field and do haphazard operations. Okay, reduction of delays is where planning impacts productivity. And I have to go back to that because what is maintenance? Why is maintenance, again, important? To cut down on the downtime, okay, or the wasted time that I'm having also in the field. If I do not provide good maintenance practices, so many delays are going to occur while I'm operating. And they have been done. And eventually we'll have to wait because I have to buy the component, okay, to maintain or to repair, let's say, this equipment or X equipment, okay? So I have to buy it from the vendor, and getting this from the vendor, I will have a problem with Oracle because it's going to take time because we have bureaucratic process because I did not plan properly. I did not care to look at my machine and test my machine, okay, before I even go to the field or even test it for its operation. So have the right job ready to go. Schedule, prioritize, okay, identify the work type, clearly define the scope, make sure of the safety measures, okay, make sure again of the safety measures, and do that once more and make sure that your employees or your staff understand the safety parameters, anticipated delays, parts and tools, instructions, clearances, if any, if you need to get certain clearances within your requirement for the job. So moving on to the maintenance of equipment, the 5 causes, the main 5 causes, and you will be surprised at one of them, is that first, okay, of equipment failure. The first is improper operation. Okay, and this, we have seen this many times. Okay, operators use and abuse their equipment, okay, and they utilize it in a very wrong manner with no care at all, okay, and we end up with what? A bad piece of equipment or a faulty, or we have a trouble and downtime or breakdown. Failure to perform preventive maintenance. Very nice, beautiful word, preventive maintenance. Failure to perform preventive maintenance will definitely be a cause for equipment failure. And look at the other one. It says too much preventive maintenance. And yes, this is true. This is not a joke. Too much preventive maintenance means that I'm taking care of, let's say, things aside and neglecting others, which means if I go on to preventive maintenance, okay, and keep on doing the same thing all the time, and I over exaggerate preventive maintenance, that means I'm going to, let's say, have certain neglect to other issues that require work, other issues that require attention, and hence increase my cost, increase my budgets, okay? And I will definitely, since I'm neglecting other items, I'm going to cause failure in others. Failure to continuously monitor the equipment. We have to have checklists. Before every single time the operator takes in a piece of equipment, I must have a checklist, okay? You're taking this piece of equipment in this condition. When it returns, he has to clean it, or she has to clean it. And we have to check again the checklist to make sure that it is returned in the proper condition. And this has to be allocated in the operational time. This has to be all included within the operational time. We cannot neglect that to say, yeah, well, we've been working in the field all day. We don't have time for this. No, you have time and you have to allocate this time. Bad or no reliability culture. Yeah, these things happen. It's like, yeah, well, I'm sorry, I broke the tractor. I apologize. So that makes it fine. I don't care, but you know, it happened. It's not like, well, you had the throttle on with the first gear, okay, which is the lowest gear, and you've been trying to move your plow while it is still stuck because of, let's say, some obstacle in the soil. But you know, you wanted to destroy it because you are macho or you're strong, etc. And you end up with bad transmission. You end up with a burnt, let's say, engine, and you say, oh, well, sorry, this happens. It's an operational hazard. So for equipment malfunctions, this affects the production capacity. It affects the production costs with the breakdowns, even with high preventive maintenance. It will affect the product service quality, the employee and customer safety, which is also important, and eventually the customer satisfaction. And who are the customers here? We are right now the operations team. Our customers are the breeding programs and the breeders. So we have to keep them happy. We have to try. So maintenance and repair management pillars are based on what we have discussed. First, the maintenance team. They have to have, we need the qualified personnel. We need the amount or the number of personnel needed. They have to have a certain skill set, okay? There is competency-based training that we can induce, okay, for them, all right, for them to be able to work or perform their jobs, the correct processes, scheduling, repairs and maintenance. And I mentioned repairs and maintenance. They're two different things. The facility, we need to have a storage area for our equipment, a tool and maintenance shed, which is completely clean and organized. And we have to have a spare parts storage, as well as safety regulations and standards. Without that, we will not be able to perform. Our own repairs and contracted services, this is something that we balance. We cannot do everything on site. We have certain challenges. We have certain challenges with respect to expertise. You cannot tell me that you can, okay, anyone can go and dismantle a gearbox, for example, for a tractor and fix it. No, you have to have specialized training from the manufacturer. If you don't, you do not touch that piece of equipment. because any small mistake you do will ruin the entire transmission. Okay, so we need specialized skills, and those specialized skills come with either training, or we have to recruit or contract services of experts. Record keeping, this is important for our inventory, the machine, the spare parts, okay, the maintenance records, and then pre and post operations checklists, like I mentioned a minute ago. We need to have the machine history, and the machine history here also through the maintenance records. This is quite important because I have to understand if there is a problem with one of our equipment, or if a problem has occurred before, it is liable to happen again. If I don't have this record at hand, that is going to cause a problem. We need to keep those manuals and spare parts. And most of the time, we ask if these are available, and the reply is yes, maybe somewhere, or no, or yes. Okay, they have to be in a nice, allocated, clean space and readily accessible for use. So, what is maintenance? What are the different types of maintenance strategies? Let's start with the first one, which is basically no maintenance. The first one is reactive, completely reactive, okay, which means if problem happens in the field, okay, while working, or even in let's say in a certain station, be it seed processing or whatever. So the fault happens, and then we have to react towards it. So this is reactive, which means this is not maintenance. This means that this is repairs. Repairs occur when I have a down, a trouble or a downtime, okay, while working. It means we have a breakdown while operating. With maintenance means that I can prevent the cause for repairs. I can try to prevent the breakdown. So this is reactive or no maintenance strategy, simply firefighting. However, the best way to fight fires is what? Is by preventing it, right? So the best way to fight any fire is to actually not allow it to occur, so by preventing it. So there are different ways to do so. There's the run to fail system, and yes, this is a true system, but where I allow the machine to run until it fails, okay? But this doesn't happen haphazardly. I need to have a backup plan. So it's either I need to replace this machine or piece of equipment, or I have the spare part to let's say change, okay, or make it fully functional. However, I need it to continue working right now. So as soon as it fails, I have the backup ready for me to continue operations and reduce downtime. We have the routine maintenance, which is any task done on a planned or ongoing basis to identify and prevent problems. Okay, it's just like changing your car oil, okay, or air filters or fuel filters, etc. Those are scheduled and routine. We have the condition-based, and for the condition-based, we have different types of condition-based. Okay, and condition-based means that I have based on a certain condition or certain performance parameter, okay, I have to monitor and decide when I should change or when I should work on this piece of equipment to make it fully functional again. So once the let's say the efficiency of a certain, for example, of a certain pump, if the pump once it works after a certain period of time, it starts to lose efficiency. That means I can measure this. This is something that I monitor. Okay, this is conditional based, okay, maintenance. Predictive, it's a condition monitoring tool based on history. I can predict because this thing happened with me before. Prescriptive is where this is just like providing medicine, okay, or a prescription. Okay, it is prescriptive because if once you are going to work under certain conditions, you're liable to get A, B, and C. And this is where you need to also do this type of maintenance. You have the corrective maintenance. It is the task that corrects a problem with an asset reserved for small items, okay, or items that are trivial and they do not affect the downtime as much. We have preventive maintenance, and here preventive maintenance, this is something that is completely proactive, but this is based on time or based on usage. For example, for the generators that provide us with power, this is something that is based on time, based on the number of operating hours. For example, in the field, for a tractor, based on the number of hours or usage, actually, or the mileage, okay, just like the car, okay, this is based on the mileage. So, going back to repairs versus maintenance, and the difference between them, again, repairs is after the breakdown and maintenance is being proactive. I'm trying to prevent things. At low level of maintenance, preventive maintenance, I have a very high cost of repairs. It's a very high cost for repairs. And you can see from this chart that the total maintenance cost is high. The effect on cost from preventive maintenance is linear. As I increase the degree of preventive maintenance, okay, my cost, okay, is going to increase, but my total maintenance cost is going to decrease as my repairs, okay, or breakdown cost is being decreased. However, it decreases up to a certain extent, and then it starts increasing again. And this is where also we're working. This is what I mentioned, okay, over preventive maintenance. If I exceed the limit of preventive maintenance, I'm losing money. Aside from neglecting other equipment, I am losing money. So there has to be a trade-off or a balance between what I repair in the field, okay, and what I can maintain. For me to control my cost, I have to understand what I need. I have to pre-plan throughout the year and anticipate what the things that I can repair and what the things that I need to maintain to make sure that my cost can be managed across the year in a good and solid manner so that I do not exceed, okay? Neither do I have to have a high repair cost, nor do I need to have a high maintenance level, okay? And to have the balance so that I can assure that things are done this way. So what are scheduled and what are planned maintenance? Scheduled maintenance is something that has a time limit. That means I can schedule it from day, let's say Monday to Friday, or a number of hours, okay? It has a time frame. However, a planned does not necessarily have a time frame, but it targets the what, the where, the why, and the how of a task, okay? And planned can be scheduled. Planned maintenance can be within scheduled maintenance procedures. The 8 steps of effective preventive maintenance, and I'm sure that I'm going through this quickly because I'm sure that we all understand what these parameters are, is first establish and prioritize the goals, create the key performance indicators, and commit to measuring them, obtain the buy-in from all stakeholders, okay? Buy-in does not mean that they have to approve. We're not seeking approval, but they have to cooperate with us. We have to cooperate alongside. We need to leverage and use the correct technology, okay? Make sure that the preventive maintenance triggers are accurate, train our staff and implement, build preventive maintenance checklists, fine-tune the plan, and move on. So who's responsible for this? Who's responsible for maintenance? That's an interesting question. And the answer is everybody. What does that mean? What does that mean for everyone? Okay, there is something that is called the total productive maintenance. Total productive maintenance requires involvement. My operators operating in the field are going to use this equipment. That means they should also be responsible for the maintenance component of this equipment. It's not just the maintenance personnel. It's not just the technicians in the workshop. No, the operators themselves need to take responsibility for this. In the labs, your lab technicians need to take responsibility for using their equipment. They need to understand what the parameters are. They need to clean their machines. You use this machine, you clean it. You use this seat counter. You can't leave the seat counters there. You have to clean it. You use this processing equipment. You have to clean it. And this is part of their procedures, and this should be part of their mandates. They're not above, okay, this thing. If this is reliable for their research, if this is reliable for their data, okay, they have to also be responsible for it, okay? There has to be a system of accountability. So with total productive maintenance, we go into a holistic approach where we try to create no breakdowns, no small stops and slow running, no defects, and eventually, okay, no accidents. Because the more we care for the maintenance, the more accountability and responsibility we assure across all the stakeholders, the better we have, okay, safety measures across the different operations and operational structures. So the total productive maintenance model, okay, starts with a base foundation, which is the 5S foundation. And we've all have seen this. What the 5S is, it is basically sort, set in order, shine, standardize, sustain, and safety. And it's over there. It's a lean process. Okay, it's a lean methodology that we have introduced through continuous improvement. Okay, and it starts with the way things are organized. So we have to organize things in a very efficient manner, and it has to, again, we have to sort, set in order, shine, standardize, sustain, and make it safe. We have autonomous maintenance, and by autonomous maintenance means that there are certain maintenance activities that can be done, okay, autonomously. That means I do not have to provide the order for that. Okay, it's just like, okay, let's say, but that does not mean that I don't record it. No, I have to record that. Okay, like say changing the oil for an equipment, or if let's say the air compressor needs a change in the washer, I can go, okay, fill in the request, go and do that because I have to utilize this and okay for my work. Planned maintenance, quality integration, going back to the quality management system, focused improvement, early equipment management, going back to the planning, training and education, safety, health, and environment. Again, we're stressing on the safety, and then the total productive management, maintenance, and administration. And here we can see that many of the things that we have discussed, either today, yesterday, or the day before, or we have been actually discussing even with the lean systems, and we'll discuss lean systems methodology and continuous improvement tomorrow, okay? We have all of this, the quality management system, the operational excellence, the health and safety, the capacity building, and the operations management, okay, involved in what we have discussed right now. So what we have started as EIB, what we have planned to work, and what we did in order to succeed is the following. We have to establish a very high quality system by covering the basics. And here we have a maintenance management initiative where first we need to collect the data. from each center. We get the machine data, okay? We have the machine inventories, the assessment of the staff qualifications, what are their capabilities, the skill sets, etc. The assessment of the requirements for successful maintenance. What do they have? Do they have the proper tools? Do they have the proper structure? And then we move on to the next phase where we provide, okay, and actually we work together to initiate the templates and process designing for machine checklists, the maintenance, charts and schedule, designing the machine management system that we need to use, okay, and the workflow diagrams from the breeders to the operators, to the operational management, all the way to the operators and, okay, the staff that are managing the field. Step 3 would be stakeholder involvement. Once we have designed, we collected the data and designed all of this, we go into stakeholder involvement and discuss and agree across the different stakeholders. And here we need the breeders to be available. Okay, we need also the operators to be available. We need the laborers to be available and to discuss and align the design process, discuss and formulate the checklist, okay, and then provide the implementation plan and the follow-up. If we do not follow up on this implementation, it's like we did nothing, because aside from this, since at the first stage resistance is high, that means this would be back in the drawer. Okay, keep it there. God bless and bye-bye. We don't want that. We want to follow this up. We want to make sure that this is implemented across the different organizations. Documentation of everything. This has to be documented, maintained at your premises, to go back to and improve every now and then. This is not there just as a reference. This is there for you to work on and improve. So we have the baseline and we can expand on that. And then we work on the skills development plan. There's a skills development matrix for all operators, okay? And this can be assessed and developed based on the skills of the current operators and the new ones. We should have a training schedule, a competency training for the different tasks that are required, okay? And once this is designed, it should be implemented and evaluated across a certain period of time. That's it for me regarding maintenance, okay? I hope, I know this is dense, this is comprehensive, okay? But this is highly needed. So what we should do to be able to make this, or to succeed with this, okay, is to start with, or I'm going to kickstart this by saying we have to collaborate all together, and we have to understand that there is a high need to work on that. There should be a high need for this type of management and centralization and collaboration. Okay, that's, I guess, the first thing that you should acknowledge and start. I leave the floor for you to tell me what, in your view, could be the next steps in achieving high maintenance or achieving good operational excellence in the field, or operations for that matter, whether it is for equipment, for labor, or for key performance indicators as well in the field from an operational perspective. Floor is yours.
Yeah, I mean, I just wanted to ask the people who are here, the managers, the farm managers, including the people from Africa Rice. How many of you have mechanics at the farms, like qualified mechanics? They are like, that's where we start. That's where we have the problem, right?
Yeah.
Like in EiB-IITA, we have one mechanic who is stationed in Ibadan. He doesn't have a mechanic, Oga there. Gabriel doesn't have a mechanic. I think maybe Gift does. But even the mechanic, the quality of the mechanics that we have, I don't think they're up to the task. they are not able to service heavy duty agricultural equipment. So, and that's why I think I pointed out the capacity building. Yes, it's great that we are talking to the farm managers here, but at the same time, we shouldn't forget that the other audience, the people we should be talking to regarding this should be the mechanic, which means if we don't have the right people in place, we should be maybe looking at bringing in the right people to be able to implement this.
Okay.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah, we need to employ the men who will actually handle the machines, train them. For well trained, you need to train them for them to able to fix all this machine. Because if you bring the machines and there are people you don't have mechanics to actually repair, maintain, it's like you just get a cloth and just keep it in your box, and so we need to the human resource needs to actually equipped to able to take care of the machines. I think even at the planning stage, you need to consider that. You need to consider this their input to, for example, in Ibadan, if we bring a machine that is not a tropicalized one, it will go to be difficult for us to use or for our operation here. So if you bring a temperate machine and you hope and you are bringing it to the tropical climate, I foresee a problem. So the environment or the area, the terrain should be put into consideration before a machine is purchased.
So the correct selection of equipment?
Yes.
And machines, okay.
Yes.
No comment.
Can I ask Wilson this question, please, and then comment after that, Gabriel? Do you think we will be able to achieve this? What we are trying to do, what we are trying to implement from a centralized operational management and maintenance management, do you think that you will be able, for example, here at Ibadan, implement this one way or the other?
Yes, yes.
Okay. Is there anything that would challenge you to actually do that?
Yes, it's the human resource I'm thinking about. How do we get qualified personnel to actually handle all this? Because it's like there are few in Nigeria. There are very, very few. So I don't know how we are going to give them the training.
Well, we have somebody who disagrees. We'll give them the floor in a minute, but I want to get Gabriel. I understand. Yeah, I understand 100% what you're saying. Training is important, but is it true that we don't have in Nigeria qualified personnel?
Yeah, I agree that training is very, very important. Maybe necessary if you want to put that way, but I want to take us a little bit back to before this era. The RFU had their own mechanics, had their own fabricators, have their own equipment. Everything you need was domiciled within the RFU until we had the Director General who felt that we need to change or deviate from the norms. That's why we need to have problems. We never had any problem with anything. If we had a breakdown of any machinery, it gets fixed within 2 days. They had their own store for spare parts, they have their own team for everything you need. The mechanics were perfect, if I want to use that language. Now, when these things was scattered, I use the word scattered because it was really scattered. When it was scattered, they moved them from where they are to join them in FMS, Facility Management Services. Then they moved those who were working on heavy duty to work on light vehicles. Those who were to work on heavy duties. That was what finished one of your, the low loader you were having, that the loader carries this heavy equipment. It was very good and it was over 20 years, but still worked like if it's brand new. Now, if we go to do this, what I want to say is this. We're going to do this. I spoke with Alec about it before. And then what we need to do is to have a situation whereby Alec is given a free hand to operate. I will say, this is what I want. The mechanics that are working on this, let them come back. I don't know what you call this, your carrier, that they spoil for you at FMS, all because a wrong mechanic need to work on it. That has been working for a long time, turning problem. I asked them to service it, they knocked the engine. We asked them to repair this one, they spoiled it. And then they repainted, I still charge you for spoiling and for repainting. Now, if those things are going to be changed, the people we have in Nigeria, we are very competent. They can do good jobs. All you need to do is to say, now you have new equipment, come for a little training. If I know how to do something, you're willing to train me a little to catch up with the technology we have now. And I'm sure they are very good. Not that I was told. I was part of the system. I'm still part of the system. I saw what happened. When DG came, Sanga came and was meeting people, I told him when he came to a unit, I said, the reason why things are not working, that you give the work of a bricklayer to a carpenter. He can never function. And the only thing is to change it, but maybe he himself was having a different idea. He never changed it, although he was part of the system from the onset. So we have people who can do this. Let us make sure that it is done. Have your own mechanics, have your own fabricators, have your own electrical, auto electrician, have your own people that you need to do your work, and then have your own spare part store. Thank you.
I really love your passion, by the way, the way you're talking, it shows, okay, that you want things to go back to, good grounds. And I totally understand. And this one thing though, that you mentioned, distribution of tasks is based on a skill set. I cannot ask a carpenter to go and do a welding. They might do a very poor job. Okay. So I need to provide this allocation as a manager. Okay. I have to allocate these tasks based on the skills of my operators. At the same time, I have to build on their skills, and I have to train them for other tasks. Go ahead, please.
I am very passionate about it. That is why I'm standing up.
Yes, please do.
The truth is that it was not Sagenga that started this confusion.
Okay.
It was a director general. Now I will drop name. Peter Hartman.
No need, but okay.
No. That started it. And it wasn't him. He is an economist. All he was thinking about was how to balance the books instead of looking for funds. When Saginga came, credit to him, he was busy running around the world looking for funds to run the system and to change the system on to what we have today, because most of the facilities were broken down. It was during Peter Hartman time that we had this mess. And the truth is that you cannot give your heart to another man to pump for you. And that was what they did to the farm. Engineering is at the center of the farm. You take away engineering from the farm, you cripple everything. And that is what we have today. Some of our colleagues in the store system, some of our colleagues in engineering, including Kumi, that we have working with us, we have been together as a compact team. And the truth is that those engineers and technicians that work here in Ibadan, they attend to Abuja, they attend to Kano, they attend, actually the head of farms was based that time at One. He was also coming here regularly. So they just modeled up the structure for the reasons best known to them. Of course, we know the reasons.
Okay.
But needless to mention.
Look,
so we are begging, really. We look very stupid as if we don't know what we are doing because something is taken out of us that crippled everybody. You spoil this, you pay for it. Irrigation was handled by the farm. That time, the limited knowledge we knew, we were practicing very well. Our colleague is now shining in Australia. You remember him? One of us. He was so frustrated, he went and became a truck driver in Australia. And so we have lost a lot of people who were disenchanted. A farm manager left. He said, look, what am I doing if you take engineering out of my hand? He ended up going to a university system and became a deputy director. He just retired last year. We are following up on each other. And Abeng, the other John, so many people, when they couldn't give their best, they had to leave. And some of us were hard heads, and then we are seen as troublesome people because we were saying that these things were wrong. Thank God for lean methodology, that you can ask why, and why. Why will you jettison a system that is working and replace it with confusion?
Right.
Please help us. We want our team back on the farm so that our work can show, so that we can display what we know. And Nigerians are competent. I was the best when I was taken.
When you were taken, now you're
When
not?
I was taken, that time,
You're still the best.
I still remain the best.
Yes.
What I'm trying to say is that the selection process when I was taken, I was the best. That's what I'm referring to. So we have competent people outside there that can be given a little bit of training and they will perform wonders. Thank you. I don't want to stress it too much.
No. It's I wanna.
No. It's painful.
I understand it's painful, but just cutting the tension, I want to tell you something. If you're going to politics, I'll vote for you.
This is real agriculture, sir. This is real agriculture. We are passionate about what we do. We want to help the poor.
Okay. Yeah. So going back to that topic and back to that item, I understand. Look, there is a lot of history there. Okay, and we're not inventing the wheel. All right. What we are proposing is something that is already there. Okay, we're just trying to push everyone to implement it. Okay, we're trying to induce change management for the current situation. What was before, let it be before. Okay, and let us look for the future, what we can change and what we can do to improve. So help me find out what the next steps should be. We have designed, okay, a system for us to work together for a program. And here you mentioned that help us. Well, yes, we are here to help you. Use us and abuse us at the same time, because we are here. This is what we are paid for. And I've even mentioned this to Alec. I said, every time we have a call, Alec, use me and abuse me. Whenever you need me, I'll come. Whenever you need me, I'll be there. And this is the same case for everyone. Okay, we have to share all our knowledge. We have to share our collaboration together for us to be able to shift or push things up to increase our production and efficiency for the future, and do it in the right way. So I'll go back again. What do you think should be the next steps? Okay, how can we work together to achieve this? What can you help us with? What can we help you with? Okay, let us know and let us take it into consideration for us to work on and improve. Please, Gabriel.
What I think we can do is actually train personnel, like what Mr. Wilson rightly said, because now if you look at the old system, like you said, it's old and it's gone. So we are trying to move forward. So what are the way forward? Now the way forward, we're having new set of equipment that needs technicality. As in, they are very, like, I don't know, complex. So we need people that can actually follow the manual to the details to get it done. And how can we get those people? We have to train them. We can have an overall mechanic that goes across the stations, but each should be able to have mechanic at each station that each supervises their work. So all of this comes to centralization. If we have proper centralization, I'm sure this will be addressed. Then secondly, when it comes to maintenance, by the virtue of my profession, I believe preventive maintenance is the best approach for you to avoid downtime and breakdown and for you to sustain your machines. And how can we get this done? Make sure we have readily available parts. Now we're having a new set of machines. Let's take, for example, we can order parts, separate series of parts that can sustain the machines for next 5-10 years, because procurement activities take a long time. So if you're having the part that can sustain the machine for the next 5 years, before it runs out, you make another procurement request. Then before the 5 years, a new set of maintenance parts are already in your stock. So by this, you keep on running. You will never run out of maintenance parts, and you never run out of sustaining your machines. I think these are aspects and areas that we have to look into. Thank you.
Gabriel, what is your job title?
I'm a farm supervisor.
You're the farm supervisor.
Yes.
Okay. How will you be able to implement this? What would you do as a farm supervisor to implement this plan?
Okay, like I said, in my own view, what I would do is
this is a set plan. You have right now you have a current status at your farm, okay, and you're the farm supervisor. You need to have a good, solid operations and maintenance plan. What can you do to achieve that?
Okay, like what we do in my own farm station in Abuja is before the year runs out, we make sure we request all our maintenance parts. When it comes to our machines, we have machines that are older than me right there, and they are still functioning.
Okay.
Working perfectly well. Though their efficiency might be low, but at least we can still make do with them. So what we do is for 2022, we make sure we get all our maintenance kits for 2023. So by that, we make sure we are operational.
Okay.
Then another thing I feel we should do is though we don't have a mechanic in Abuja station, we have an heavy equipment operator that has ideas on repairs. So we combine our effort together, we brainstorm together, we have series of meetings. Okay, let's do it this way. From my own approach, let's look at it from this angle, and from his own experience, we combine heads together to get things done. So for us to achieve this, I think planning is key. Planning is very, very important. Then coming together too as one is very, very important. Then having, let's say, quarterly meetings and reviews on, okay, what do we need to improve? What do we have? How is it working? What are the efficiency? So constant meeting and quarterly review will actually play a long way in achieving this.
Okay. Kirpal, you wanted to share?
Yes. But then, should I say, unfortunately, what I was about to say, my friend has said about more than half of it. We're talking about centralization, and he even mentioned it, that there is a need to centralize. That is number one. Then number two, proper planning. Especially at the beginning of every project, there should be proper planning. And then as a breeder, I'm passionate about the fact that sometimes we don't carry mechanics and other machine operators along the project we are doing. So you tell them, go and plow this land. He doesn't know what you are going to use the land for. You only say I should plow. So he'll plow the way he understands, which may not meet your specification. So if at the beginning of every project, you do proper planning and meeting with your machine operators, your technicians, then whenever you tell them anything, they know exactly what they are going to do. And it will even go a long way into maintaining the machines. Because if I use it in a proper way, then there will be lower maintenance. So that is what I wanted.
100% there. Yeah.
Sir, we need to start looking at proper record keeping.
Beautiful.
Record of every detail that we can get from the maintenance system and repair systems.
Thank you.
In my own station is we were able to capture, okay, for the past 2 years, when I came in, I noticed there was no record, like you said, for maintenance history. So you don't know the type of oil that goes into the type of engine. You don't have all those details. But I was able to come up with like an electronic form. So when the mechanics perform any repairs, it goes online and log in every single details of repair that he has performed with the name of the tractors and the series number. So with that, we're able to capture, at least for the past 2 years, we're able to capture few maintenance history of our 2 tractors there. So I think that will actually help us to in achieving this.
Definitely, but you mentioned something that, for example, you don't know what type of oil right?
Yes.
While visiting one of the stations, okay, we went and saw a pump, okay, and this pump was connected to an engine, and everybody was so happy that this is a new setup, new pump. When I looked at it, I said, I kept quiet, but then they were again so happy that this is a new thing. It wasn't new, it was refurbished. Okay, knowledge is key. Knowledge is very important, and we cannot stress the fact of sharing this knowledge. Okay, if I go, why do you think we've spent months on the Crop and Hunger Fund working on the specifications of equipment? Okay, and by that, and we've even worked with designing, and you'll meet and after lunch, okay, with Bruce. Okay, we have been discussing with him the requirements for cassava, okay, planting in the fields for breeding purposes, because this should be fit for purpose. Okay, there is a lot of know-how there, and if we don't know, we're challenged on what we can use or what we can develop. We met with the breeders. We had meetings with the breeders, okay, and they were involved in that decision process. So this has to be all a collaborative effort. Yeah. So if you need to get a certain piece of equipment, I cannot go, just, let's say, as a breeder, just buy any piece of equipment and say, yeah, take it to the operator, yeah, you have to use this. No. Or take it to the lab technician and say they have to use this. No. There has to be a certain reference involved, okay? Maybe the breeders have this expertise and we don't. We learn from them, and the same goes the other way around, okay? Any other comments? Anybody? Yes, please, John.
I was listening to Sheon. One of the other points I just want to add to what he said is that as a supervisor, you don't just ask operator to go to the field and go and plow. You need to follow up to see what he's doing, whether he's doing it rightly or wrongly. Because as a supervisor, I know better than what he's going to do. I'll give you a scenario. Just about last week, we asked one of our juniors to go and plow, and when he got there, he did a rough job. I have to tell him to go back and get it done properly. So follow up of any assignment given is very, very important, because it will still bounce back to me or to my boss. So follow up is very, very important.
Okay. I want us to agree all together here, okay? Since we are all joined here for operations. We need to start somewhere, right? And the first step, again, is by collecting records. Without that, as we discussed initially, without collecting the information on the machine inventory, okay, without collecting the history, we will not be able to move forward, okay? So let's start at this point. Let us agree that we will all work to provide for the first step, which is the data collection, okay, that we need. So let us all, okay, and all together agree that within our centers, we will work, we will encourage, even for the breeders, push the operational staff, push the farm management, push the operations management to establish this kind of list within and share it, okay? If you do not share it, okay, with all, we will not understand what's there and what's not. The second step that we need to agree upon is to look at the qualifications that we have and assess what we need on the ground. For us to be able to help you, you have to help us, okay? Without you sharing, without you collecting, we will not be able to achieve anything. So the first step, as an agreement between all of us here, let us work on the data collection first, and then we work on to the second step. So for all the farm managers here, even for all the breeders, please push within your centers, okay? Let's work on a timeline for that as well. Provide us with your inventories. I will show you, or I'm not going to show you now, but I will share it with you, okay? The data for the inventory. We have tractors working since the 1980s. And here at Ibadan, okay? Those are collector's items. At one point before, I used to work at the American University of Beirut. Okay, they have a farm station there, a research center. They had tractors back from the 1960s. I said, okay, beautiful, great. Okay, we'll phase those out. We'll go paint them and set them as, you know, an exhibition area for tourism. Okay, as a museum for agriculture tourism. Why? What you are, you know, inducing as cost for repairs is higher than its market value. You are losing money this way. Again, doesn't mean that you should not repair. You need to repair it because you don't have another choice right now. This is why we worked on the acquisition plan. And this is how we work on the acquisition plan. But the first step, let us collect this data. And I will expect this data from you, all of you, okay? Please help us collect this data and let's share it all together. Alec, you want to say something?
Oh, yeah. So the call I just got here was from the Director of Finance. We are proposing a new position like head of mechanics.
Okay.
And he coincidentally just approved that. So
good news,
so
everyone.
moving in the right direction, which is good. Yeah.
Belko, I don't know if you want to share anything from Africa Rice, what you're facing from this perspective.
Yeah, sorry, you know, I'm not very close with the farm unit and.
But as a breeder, what are you facing?
Yeah, I'm a physiologist reporting breeder. So, but what we know, it's we have some machines. I think you are aware of it at Poitiers that are hold not operational for long because of lacking of spare part or expertise or skilled or technical person that can operate them or can maintain them. We have like senior staff in the mechanic unit that retired and we don't have replacement. So mostly we outsource those kind of repairs and maintenance, and the equipment keep breaking down because you know that there is kind of I would say negative way of sometimes outsourced mechanic will not fix it properly, so you keep coming back there and spending your money. So right. Yeah, so I have listened mostly to what all these dedicated guys behind me are saying. Then I noted some points too. So I think, yes, we need to first look for the appropriate equipment for each step of the operation, then put the right person at the right place to do the dedicated job, and also have this kind of regular and systematic a checklist for regular maintenance and proper operations of the breeding task.
Right. And in Boake, who's responsible? Who's the is it Chalish? Who's?
Yeah, Boake, we have a guy there called head of operations unit, operation and facilities, but he lacks personnel. He doesn't have all the necessary people, so he's taking care himself for farm facilities, gene bank, growth chambers, greenhouses. One person cannot do all of this.
Obviously, yeah.
So the thing is, and also, you know, Africa Rice had a challenge of moving from one station to another, one country to another because of 10 years of social unrest and civil war in Cote d'Ivoire. So it have not been easy to capitalize of all what they have as equipment and facilities from moving from one country to another, from Cote d'Ivoire to Mali, Benin, then back to Cote d'Ivoire. Yes, but since 2016, we are back in Cote d'Ivoire and we are making it. And you know also that we have different stations like here in Ibadan and in Senegal and Benin, in Tanzania, Madagascar. So we are trying to cope with all these challenges, and Boake is the main place, the headquarters for research. And yes, and we're trying to centralize different things that could and should be centralized, like some breeding, some technical breeding operations in Boake, though other stations still need to run independently.
How can you, since Nana escaped from this question, okay, how can you help us achieve this in Boke, in Mbe?
Well, as you said, you need the contribution of all the people. So first, when we go back, as you are planning to visit Boake and to talk with the technical person, with Klana, I think you have worked with him at least even remotely sometime. Yeah. So it's good that in March, if you can come and have a face-to-face discussion, have a tour of the field and facilities with him. So the right thing is to engage him, then see the key facilities and breeding operation, the tools that we need to either maintain or we need to acquire newly, and know what we need, what in terms of equipment, in terms of personnel to take care of this. For example, if you take the boom irrigation system, we have it there for our upland. We have 6 hectares of upland. We have things that EiB doesn't have, but the thing is, are they working? If we make them work, how are we going to sustainably maintain them?
Right.
Yeah. So it's to engage Klana one and look at the team. What are the gaps, and what are also the strengths that we can build on?
Great. So we'll rely on you to at least promote this at Mbe, and during our visits, we can capitalize on this more. Yes, Gabriel, but I want to listen from Sari's perspective as well. Yes, we do have a template. We started sharing this before. Okay, and we shared it with Alec. We shared it. I don't know if you received it. Yeah, it's the same. It's the same. However, it needs to be completed. It needs to be completed. If you have, for example, number of hours of operation on the tractor, and this is on the sorry, it's on the tachometer. Okay, not only the number of hours, but also on the odometer. Okay, you can find some data there. Put it down, okay, and put the date. We need to know, okay, how much is it working per year? What's the level of operations per year? How can we evaluate if we are overworking a piece of equipment if I don't know how many hours it's working per season or per year or per unit of time? You know, please.
Yes, I think there has already been some changes that have been started. And our main problem was we were not running a centralized system, because, like I said, equipment comes in for the programs. So you have maize equipment, rice equipment, soybeans equipment. So they are scattered. They are not centralized. So even if maize has tractor, for it to go and do work for soybean, it's a lot of bureaucracy. But now they are trying to centralize all the equipment. I think it was initiated by Ahmed last time from your visit. Our new director has now taken initiative where he is now restructuring the workshop. Right. So all equipment will be handled in a central manner. And also, once it's being handled in a central manner, they will now, because at first, it was fee for service. The equipment ran a service, but it will get to a time that if you need a service, like plowing, they will tell you the tractor is not working or it's faulty. So it's you, the breeding component, who have to get money for the repairs of the tractor. So now they are now trying to put a central system in place that, all these things will come to an end. And fortunately for us, we have a workshop with trained personnel. I think one of the things that we will need is to upgrade their knowledge on these new equipment, because we have a lot of personnel who are currently not doing anything. We have for workshop operations. So if you upgrade their knowledge on these new equipment, I think they will be good to go to keep the equipment moving and running for a long time.